Kyle Klingman with Track Wrestling. What a treat we have to have both Miracles. Lee Miracle, who's the head wrestling coach at Campbellsville, and he coached his daughter to 4 WCWA Championships. Of course, that's Kayla Miracle. Great to have both of you guys on, and we'll start with Lee. You had the opportunity to coach your daughter in college. I have to think there has to be a lot of satisfaction in seeing your daughter succeed at a high level, and really not many head coaches. I think you're the only one to coach a daughter to a women's wrestling championship. That has to be rewarding.
Well, it was tremendously rewarding and satisfying, Kyle. Kayla and I have developed a relationship. You could say it's been forged by steel, or fire. It's just been one of those things where we've had to learn to be coach, athlete, daughter, father, friends now. Everything kind of changes as they get older. And so we've kind of been through all of those things. So we pretty much know how to talk to each other, and we know all of the things that would set each other off. So we would never do those things. And, but, even more nuanced was you have to understand that I lost Kayla for 4 years to Culver Academy, which by far, hands down, one of the best decisions that we ever made for her to go to that boarding school. Great leadership academy, just great school all around. I couldn't say enough good things about that place. But I lost her there for 4 years, and I saw her very intermittent. And then to get her back in my life for 4 years was just a very unique experience. And it was it was cool, but it had its own sets of difficulties. But all those difficulties lead to learning and a better relationship.
Kayla, did you feel like there were some difficulties along the way?
In college or high school or both?
Yeah, in college in particular, since you had your dad as a coach.
Yeah, I think there were definitely a lot of difficulties. If you look at our personality traits, we're very similar, and that can be good in some aspects, but it could be really bad because we're both really bullheaded and we would just knock heads a lot of the time. But in the end, he knew exactly what my goals were and where I wanted to be in my wrestling career and just as a person. So he was the best person to get me there, rather than just some other coach that didn't have my best interest at heart, So I knew he was going to do what he could to help make me successful and reach those dreams.
Kayla, when you have a situation like that where there are challenges, how do you get through them, and how do you get on the other side so that it's a healthy relationship where you're striving for the best possible solution?
I want to say that we would talk about them and, go into his office or sit at the house, something like that. But it didn't always happen like that. It's not always the easiest to talk to me, and it's not always the easiest to talk to him because we are both very difficult people. You can ask anyone in our family, anyone that we know, that we are just a pain to talk to. And so sometimes it would be just ignoring each other or mean comments here and there until there would be a big blow up, and then we would talk about everything, and then it would be a reset, and we would be good for however long, and then I would be mad that he ate the last ice cream or something, and another blow up. So I think just eventually getting everything out on the table, we, like he mentioned earlier, we were able to learn exactly what we needed and how we needed to talk to each other. So it's gotten a lot better and a lot easier for us as father, daughter, coach, athlete, and friend, like he said.
Lee, you were in special operations in the Navy. How do you take those skills and use them in what you do? Is that how you approach parenting and coaching with your background in the military?
Wow. That's a big question. I think that there are tons of things that I learned from my military training and my military experiences, that I would apply to my parenting skills and things like that, and my coaching style. But then there are things that really don't match up, especially with women's wrestling. Okay. So take a type A special operations guy, Navy chief, and then have him be a women's college wrestling coach for the first year. That is a very interesting thing. And I don't know, it's there were so many things that I learned going through that process that I could say that, yes, indeed, I did apply a lot of the things I learned, but then some of the things do not apply. And you got to filter through which one of those things you can apply and make some good things out of. And some of the things you just got to learn that that doesn't apply to women's wrestling.
When you say it doesn't apply, what things do apply to women's wrestling as you go through that situation where you're probably trying to figure things out because it's still kind of new. People are questioning maybe a few things about women's wrestling. Now we're in a pretty good place and we're moving forward, but did it take some convincing on your end to buy into women's wrestling at the front end?
Well, at the very, very front end, when Kayla was little, it took me a little bit to buy in, but she sold me pretty quick. But she was just dedicated. If you mean recently, with women's wrestling and as fast as it's growing, it's just been amazing. And some of those things that that I did apply that I think were attributes were just understanding that consistency, consistent excellence. Trying to always learn from the last mission and get better the next mission. Those kind of things really help me because I apply those kind of things. When we go out and we wrestle, the only thing I'm thinking about on the way home is what we need to do to get better on Monday. And our practices on Monday are very focused on those things. But that's just an example. But you do the same thing in the military. You have after action reports and things like that, and you learn from those.
What was your quote? You had it on your office door. It was, "You don't rise to the level of your something. You fall to the level of your training." What was it exactly?
Let's see. It was you don't rise to the level of level of your training. Yeah. So we just try to train and just be consistent with it.
So, Kayla, what did you do to convince your dad that this was a viable option for you to be in wrestling?
So I was, 4, and I was around it all the time because he was coaching and he had his club and my older brother wrestled. So I just had to be there. I had to go to practices. I had to go to tournaments. And during practice, I'd be the little kid climbing the ropes. And it'd be like, "Oh, where's Kayla? Oh, there she is. Okay." Or like at tournaments, I'm under the bleachers, just messing around, being a kid. And then eventually I'm like, this is boring. Like, I want to wrestle. I want to do this. And asked him, and he was not the most excited to let that happen. And he's like, ask your mom, whatever. And she was like, yeah, go for it, whatever. And so he let me and made practices pretty hard, tried to get me to quit. And 4-year-old Kayla is just like, oh, this is so fun. And here I am 20 years later, still doing it and still loving it. So I think he just saw that, girls in the past that he had encountered kind of did wrestling, maybe not for the right reasons, not for the love of the sport. And, a 4-year-old can really show you just a love and a passion and fun within the sport. And I think I showed him that women can have that too. And now he's the head coach of a pretty solid team.
Coaching is always about execution. And of course, when you have student athletes, they're going to talk about the coach. Kayla, when you were in that situation, you have a coach who is your dad. When other teammates were talking about your dad, how did you deal with that?
I know some people who disagree. Some people would, talk bad about him, like, oh, he made us do this at practice or whatever. And some would be like, oh, I love him, he's so great. So, it really depended on the day of what people would be saying. But I would listen, and usually I would agree because I was able to kind of separate it. I know firsthand my dad can be a jerk sometimes. And so if I can empathize and understand it from other people's point of view, so like my teammates, if they're frustrated, then I can be like, hey, I've been dealing with this for, at that point, 18, 19, 20 years. This is how you can handle it. This is how you can get past it and be okay with it. So yeah, just kind of empathizing and, try not to talk down, because it's really easy to like get caught up in, like, if you're talking about drama and stuff, like, oh yeah, they suck, like try and avoid that and be like, all right, well, this is where he's coming from, and I know this is where he's coming from, and he wants us to do 108 count exercises because it's going to make us better, or we did this wrong and we shouldn't have done this, you know. So just trying to see both sides of the picture and everything.
What skill would you say you learned from your dad that you feel like has benefited you in your success in wrestling?
I think so. I was actually just talking to someone yesterday, and they were like, oh, he's gone. Maybe he'll come back. But yeah, they were like, what's something that you really admire in your dad? And the first thing that came to mind was that he's a dreamer. He has these really big dreams and aspirations, whether it be for his yard. He wants to do this with his yard and like this garden and build a pool in this, or like he sees a house and he's like, oh, I want to do this, or I want to get my pilot's license. I want to do, you know, and he just has these really big dreams. And so it makes it easy for me to have my dream of being an Olympic gold medalist and knowing that it's possible, because I've seen him, you know, have these big dreams. He dreamt up having a dynasty program, and within, 5 years, he won a title. You know, that's pretty awesome. And so it's really easy for me to like see it happening firsthand, and then take it into my life.
Lee, your daughter, Kayla, has said that the things she's most proud of is being authentic and genuine. Is that a trait that you're proud of with her?
I am. I've always taught my kids to be themselves. Of course, there's certain things that I want them to be, and I drive into them. You know, I've constantly preached about the things that you need to teach your kids in order to have them turn out okay, I think. And it's just my opinion. And I think it's, you know, integrity, a work ethic, and a relationship with God. And I say that to everyone that asks me, you know, how did your kids turn out so well? Because, you know, in spite of their father, trust me, they've turned out excellent. And I can't say enough about all of them. Of course, you know Kayla, but, you know, the rest of the kids are amazing as well in their own rights. So been very blessed with that. But, yeah, they're all very different, and they're all very unique.
What's your present day relationship? Of course, when she's your athlete, you're seeing her day to day. Now she's at Sunkist Kids in Tempe, Arizona. How do you guys interact on a daily basis?
Well, it goes in different kind of flows, I guess. Sometimes we'll communicate a lot via text or social media or something about something. And then sometimes we can go a couple of weeks without really talking at all or communicating at all. And I would say it's like my good friends that I have. They're my good friends as soon as they call me. It doesn't matter how long it's been since we've talked to each other. And we have that relationship. We're not very sensitive about that. She might be a little bit more than I am, but I think that we have a very good relationship when it comes to that. And sometimes I think the more I grow up and the more I learn, I think I understand that as a parent in this phase of your life, even though you think that they want space, you still got to reach out to them, and you still got to touch base with them just to let them know that you're there. And I think that's important. And that's something I'm trying to do a little bit more better job lately, you know, something I need to work on. And, you know, Kayla and I have had some of those talks where, you know, we have those come to Jesus moments where we say, this is what bothers me. And sometimes, you know, that's what we get out of it, is a lesson like that. And so just another example of how we've, you know, kind of been through the fire, I guess.
I see you're wearing the Kayla Miracle shirt. How much fun is that to see how much of a difference she's made in wrestling, and that people are really gravitating toward her and her story?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, obviously when you have a kid that does something great, you're very proud, but to see your kid elevate others and to be an example and a role model to others, that's pretty cool.
Kayla, what do you like best about your dad?
I don't know. There are a lot of different things, and it's hard to pinpoint the number one thing. But I think what I was saying earlier about him being a dreamer, I think that is something that I've learned from, but then also it's just admirable, he sees something, he wants it, he gets it, he does it, and he works for it. So it's just a really cool thing. And then I think his love for ice cream and sweets, I really admire that, because that's something we can really bond over. We both really love Fruity Pebbles. We both like candy. We both like ice cream. So, I mean, I appreciate that, because, it's something that can make us close. And my goal in the future, after wrestling, is to open an ice cream shop. And he has, how would you describe Oh My?
Oh, Oh My is a fruity, sweet, hot sauce. And we just had some the other day. Somebody came in and wanted to snack on that. It was great.
So that's something he makes, and it's really good. And he decided one day to put it on some vanilla ice cream. And I'm like, you are crazy. But it actually was really good. And I was like, all right, well, when I open a shop, this is going to be one of my like specialty flavors. So, yeah.
Well,
go ahead, Lee.
I was just going to say, we need to clear the air about something. These Fruity Pebbles she speaks of, see, my wife doesn't really want me to eat those. And Kayla really doesn't want me to eat them, because then that's less for her. So what she did during the pandemic, during the quarantine, was she hid them from me. Yes, she hid Fruity Pebbles from me. And that's something that I'm not sure if therapy is going to help with or not.
Okay, it wasn't just me. Hope and Kale and Abby were all okay, so we asked for candy one day for a store run. And so Kara brought back a bag of candy, and we put it in a bowl, and it was sitting on the counter. The next day, there are like 2 pieces of candy left. And we're like, what in the world? And we all kind of talked, like us kids. And we're like, okay, I had 3 pieces. Like, Abby, you had 2. Kale, you had like 6. Hope, you had 1. Okay. Where did the rest go? And we knew it was him. So we decided we're going to hide the sweets that we wanted, like the Chips Ahoy or the Oreos or any of the good cereal.
Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah, the Fruity Pebbles, we would hide it so he couldn't find it.
They left me like Kellogg's not even Frosted Flakes. They weren't even frosted. They were the regular corn flakes.
Man, I remember Kara would buy the big pints of ice cream, and we would usually have like 2 upstairs in the freezer, and then there's, downstairs in the basement, there's the refrigerator with the freezer. And I know Abby and we hid one back there behind a bunch of fruits and vegetables and stuff. And so we would go downstairs at night, because someone would be upstairs watching TV. So we'd go to the downstairs TV, and we'd just take out our little ice cream, bring down some spoons, and we'd eat it and then put it back and hide it again. So when we were out upstairs, nobody knew that we had our special stash.
Well, you guys went through it, though. You guys, father-daughter championship legacy. When you're going through it, there's a lot of course, fathers who coach their sons, but it's pretty unique to have a father coach his daughter to 4 championships nonetheless. When you're going through it, does it feel special? Does it feel like it's groundbreaking at the time? Lee, I'll let you start.
Okay. I would say yes. There was different points that were kind of groundbreaking. Like when she won her 4th championship, and that couldn't have been kind of more, set up to be a big deal than it was, because we had to have her win in order to win the national championship. And they made her match the last match, which was something, I don't know if they had done that before, but they made her match the last match, because if she had won, we would win the national championship. And if she won, she became the, I think, 4-timer. So, that was, for me, for the Miracle family, it was a huge moment. Winning the national championship was obviously a big deal, but then also to have that aspect of Kayla winning her 4th, it was special. Now, some of her national championships were not as special as others. And I think it was just because she was so dominant at times that it was like, you weren't worried about it, and she had already beaten the person over and over, and you just kind of knew what was going to happen based on how the person moves. And you just knew what to look out for if there was anything. So those weren't as, some of those easier, I would say, or just we kind of had those people dialed in. But there was a couple of them that were tough. When she was younger, obviously her first one was tougher. I think your first and second one were the toughest, wouldn't you say, Kayla?
Maybe. I think so, in different ways, because there were different bits of anxiety and stuff within the third and fourth. But yeah, I think Shy Mason, that was the closest one. That was the only one that went 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and also we bumped you up.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a picture. He was saying how it was a cool moment for the Miracle family. And there's this really cool picture of my little brother jumping, and he's like, yeah, it's really cute. Maybe
it's actually on the wall inside of the new building.
So I don't know if you can see it, but that is my little brother, and my little sister is right next to him.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's so cute.
Very cool.
I love it.
Well, I mean, Kayla, you feel the same way? Did it feel normal, or did it feel groundbreaking at times?
Going through it, I'm like, this is my goal. This is what I want to do. And I don't think it really hit me until it was over. As I was going through it, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to win nationals. I'm supposed to, I want to go through, and I want to get as many bonus points as I can for the team. So I want to pin my way through or tech my way through. And that's the thought. And then afterwards, not even in the moment of the hand being raised or whatever, it was more so after, on the bus ride home or that night at dinner, things like that. I was like, wow, this is really cool. This is special. 'Cause it was like a fairy tale. We had been close many times before, close to winning the team title, and it just hadn't happened yet. And that was, senior year, fourth title. And then the team was able to win. It was cool. It was really special. And I'm excited for Campbellsville to win another title. Waiting for it. So yeah.
Kayla, it's Father's Day, so we're going to give you the final word. You can say anything to your dad that you want, whether it's something you've said before or not, but we'll give you the last say.
I love you, and I hope you know that. Like you've said, we can go weeks without talking or talk every single day, but just know, however long it is between that I love you no matter what, and I'm thankful for you.
I love you too.